Senator Brandon Shippey has a bill, Senate Bill 1036, and it's called the Doug Cameron Act. And basically what this would do would put a pause. It would put a moratorium on allowing gene therapy, mRNA gene therapy shots to be administered in Idaho. And the reason for this is because there had been so many adverse reactions to the mRNA gene therapy that was prescribed or administered to fight off the virus. And so we want to. All he's looking for is a pause. And so yesterday, there wasn't exactly a full hearing. It was called what they call an informational hearing. So there was no debate between the committee members. There was no motions made. It was simply a way to gather information from so many people across Idaho who've been affected by this. And so there was some word that this hearing wasn't going to happen, but I think that some wires got mixed up or whatever. But anyway, there was a lot of people that were brought in to testify. There were people there that were there to testify remotely and as well as obviously in person. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you a couple of clips from that, just to kind of get you up to speed. And then we'll share with you what we'll do with the entire hearing afterwards. But let's just set up here a little bit of what we're going to be here. This is Senator Brandon Shippey yesterday in the Senate Health and Welfare Committee.
Madam Chair and committee, I really appreciate the opportunity to be able to bring this legislation before you. Is Senate Bill 1036. This legislation is titled the Doug Cameron Act. It ensures a moratorium on the administration by any route or modality of any gene therapy product for any infectious disease indication. And so this legislation is here for one reason and one reason only. This was not a brainchild of myself. As many of you know, this is not my area of expertise, but a constituent of mine brought this to me. She is a registered nurse, and she cares very much about injured Idahoans who have been injured by the COVID vaccination. And this good constituent is here today, and she has many connections with some really qualified experts in various disciplines. And through the efforts of many, we were able to draft this legislation. And so what we're going to do is we have a presentation. We do have some experts scheduled to be testifying online. And what I'm going to do is turn now my time over to them to start their testimony, their expert witness on this subject. And then I will, I guess, come back after all the presentations, all the testimonies, and to finish on my end. So.
Okay, very good. So if you caught that, what he was doing was he had gathered a lot of people to it wasn't necessarily like a public hearing where you show up and you get your 2 minutes. He actually assembled people to provide all of this information to the committee. One of those people was someone you may have heard, Dr. Peter McCullough, who was set up to testify remotely via video. There was this lengthy pause because the system wasn't working and they couldn't get it right and they couldn't get Peter McCullough on the video, blah, blah, blah. So they eventually got him by phone through the cell phone onto that. So again, we'll have more on that in a minute. We're not going to play Peter McCullough in a moment, but who was there was Idaho's own Dr. Ryan Cole. And so we have Dr. Ryan Cole's testimony here. Yes, there you are. Someone just in the comments just said, was Ryan Cole there? Well, yes, he is. There's live television for you. Go for it.
Is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, senators on the committee. I'm Dr. Ryan Cole. I'm a board-certified anatomic and clinical pathologist representing myself. I live in District 19, and I'm grateful to be here. I think we're missing the forest for the trees here. We're talking about COVID and what happened and the shot. But remember, as Shakespeare said, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. A gene therapy by any other name is still a gene therapy. This is a genetic product. This is not a vaccine. It's been mislabeled. It did not stop transmission. It did not stop disease. It did not stop acquisition of disease. It did not stop this disease. There are plenty of papers out there, as have been mentioned already. What we've missed is the product that went out to market was a bait and switch by Pfizer. It was grown in these broths that my colleague talked about and contaminated with a known carcinogenic monkey virus, SV40. 6 countries, independent laboratories, peer-reviewed now, have proven that these are adulterated, contaminated products. Excess DNA has been found in them up to 437 times the FDA allowed amount. Anything that exceeds those regulatory standards is out of bounds. Yet our regulators have failed us. We as Idaho can set an example for the nation that we're not going to put up with an out of trust federal government that keeps ignoring the financial interests that are out and about. We don't do ice pick lobotomies anymore. We don't leach anymore. We don't overuse opioids anymore. We don't use mercury anymore. There's a reason, because those products were dangerous and science was wrong. The science has settled as censorship. Plain and simple, these are dangerous products, not just the COVID. These are synthetic RNAs. And I'll conclude with this. Science and medicine dies when inquiry dies. We can do a lot of things scientifically. Knowledge is great, but knowledge without wisdom is folly, and wisdom comes from delayed gratification. These are dangerous products that need to be removed from the market, and we don't need to allow Idahoans. This is about our children, your children, my children, the future. We don't need Idahoans to be guinea pigs for a synthetic product. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, very good. Some excellent points there, as always, from Dr. Ryan Cole. I think it was particularly effective to point out treatments that we used to do back in the day that have since proven to be completely unsafe. And so as we continue here with the sort of the guinea pig moment with mRNA stuff, we don't really know. And so this is a bill that will continue. All right, we have one final. We have to play this one. We have one final clip here from Doug Cameron himself, the person who's been named on this bill, and then I'll offer you a little bit of pushback on this bill from the other side of the coin, just food for thought. So let's listen to Doug Cameron.
Yep. Okay. Thank you for being with us today. Please identify yourself for the record, and the time is yours.
My name is Doug Cameron. I was vaccine injured April 2021, the Johnson & Johnson gene therapy COVID vaccine. I received my vaccine at work during work. 10 days later, I was paralyzed from the diaphragm down, and I spent 105 days in hospitals and rehab centers in Idaho and Utah. And I'm willing to show all my medical records and images. Combined medical bills and out-of-pocket expenses have exceeded $2 million, and I'm willing to show all my medical bills and out-of-pocket payments, and it continues to grow. Typical vaccine development timeline generally takes between 5 and 15 years, and sometimes to assess whether vaccine is safe and effective in clinical trials. We have not reached the first 5 years of this worldwide gene therapy vaccine trial. Everybody who got a COVID vaccine is in the trial. The data has not been forthcoming, and I, for one, cannot stand by and watch our young people be vaccinated and tested with gene therapy and their unknown long-term side effects. Known side effects include myocarditis, pericarditis, male and female reproductive issues, paralysis such as mine, and many, many more. The purpose of this bill, S1036, is to put a pause on human gene therapy products for the safety of Idaho citizens. Human gene therapy is still in its infancy. The pause is necessary, and Idaho can be and should be leading the charge. I politely ask you to put this up for a vote and pass this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cameron.
Wow, powerful stuff there from Mr. Doug Cameron. You can see the passion there, and of course, obviously, our heart goes out to anybody affected by this. Really tragic. And so again, so what this bill does, and there were many people. I mean, there were other victims that spoke, other people's families. That's his wife spoke after that. What we're going to do, folks, is on Friday, we're going to play that entire hearing so that way you can see all of it. I think it's important to have that out there for you to share with people and do what you will with it. A couple of the arguments on the other side of the issue here, of course, is the idea that if you recall, during President Trump's first term, he was very proud of something called right to try. And personally speaking, I'm a big fan of the concept of right to try, meaning when there are experimental things out there that aren't approved yet, but are trying to do something like save someone's life from a disease or something, that the person who is on a path to early death should have the right to try something brand new, because if they don't, they're going to die anyway. And so they're willing to say, hey, I'll try out this drug, or I'll try out this new product to see if if it'll save my life. And if it doesn't, at least you get to have some data, because I'm already going to die anyway. So that's the concept behind right to try. I don't necessarily know if this bill interferes with the right to try, because this is just a moratorium, and the promise of the the promises of the mRNA gene therapy, at least in the sense of the COVID virus, was completely oversold in terms of its what it could do to help save lives, or just stop you from getting the virus, stop you from transmitting the virus. There's nothing, folks, if we're still on YouTube, I'll be surprised at this point. That being said, this again is just a moratorium. So I think with this early technology here, that maybe this might be the right path forward, at least to help get the word out there that this stuff is not as safe and effective as it may seem. And so we're going to see a lot more come out, obviously, from the federal level now that RFK is in his position. So we'll see about that. But interesting, good debates happening on that front.